So, you want to go to the World Cup. Well, it's going to cost you.
I don't think we're going to the World Cup anymore, bro.
Their cheapest, $7,000.
Original purchase price $446, resale price $22,316. It's insanity.
The World Cup's return to North America will be unprecedented in more ways than one. It's the first FIFA tournament to take place across 3 nations, with 16 host cities in the US, Mexico, and Canada.
This is the first tournament where we're going to have 48 countries represented instead of 32. That means there's going to be 104 matches played.
It's also the first World Cup where tickets are subject to dynamic pricing. And that's changing the game, so to speak.
What dynamic pricing means is that prices change, could be on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, or weekly basis, depending on supply and demand.
This is something that we are used to.
This is a World Cup where there's a lot that's happening, and especially in terms of pricing, there's always going to be a high demand because this is the World Cup. And what this does, especially if they're saying that there's dynamic pricing and it's based on the US dollars, it means that people who are coming from other countries where they don't have a good exchange rate, it means that they won't be able to go and actually watch the World Cup.
To seeing in the US, but around the globe, this is the first time they've ever introduced something like this.
The US is the ultimate market, and FIFA's using that to their full advantage in this tournament.
We have to apply market rates. This is the World Cup.
You have a lot of resale, a lot of speculative buyers going in there to later try to sell for a markup. And so the big question I think people have is this demand real?
And ticket prices aren't the only obstacle for fans.
If you're coming to see some soccer,
We want them to come, we want them to celebrate, but when the time is up, they'll have to go home.
don't overstay your visa.
Trump's policies on immigration and tourism have proved to be very hard for some people from specific countries to get visas to attend the tournament. It has said to put some people off of wanting to visit here.
And if people can't,
You know, they say that the World Cup is meant to be for everyone internationally, but there's a lot of people who are being subjected to very harsh laws. Yeah, we know that the immigration laws, they have to be strict, but in terms of the strictness, I think it has become a point where it's very unreal and reasonable, especially when you're expecting large amount of people to come and watch, and these are people who have already applied for visas, and some people are being turned back, like the referee from Somali, where he wasn't allowed to actually gain entry. And in terms of the reasons, they say that he's part of terrorism of some sort.
or don't attend the games, then what seemed like a profitable event for host cities could turn into a financial black hole.
The financial fallout could be anywhere from $100 to $200 million. That's the cost for a host city.
The World Cup will have a winner. One team will take away the trophy, but some of its losers may never actually set foot on the playing field. Football, well, technically soccer, since we're in North America this time round, has finally come into its own in the US.
Soccer has seen a massive growth over the last 30 years since the World Cup in 1994. Now, one of the biggest stars in the world, Lionel Messi, plays for Inter Miami. Their business grew an exponential amount.
The league is now 30 teams. The value of the enterprise is over $20 billion.
But at the same time, they aren't on the par of other sports leagues in the US. So this is really the moment that they have to capture the world audience, to capture the US audience.
The US market, coupled with other advantages, makes it an attractive and lucrative location for FIFA.
FIFA comes over.
You know, in terms of the location for FIFA, it seems like FIFA now have decided that they want to prioritize making money. They don't even care about the fans. I mean, now when you're busy watching the football match, when they do these so-called cooling breaks, which are done on both halves, instead of actually showing us the players and actually having people being immersed in that experience, instead they're busy taking that time to show ads. to make advertisements. So it seems like it's all about money. It doesn't really have to do in terms of the pricing of the tickets. They're actually trying to exploit every little thing in terms of the whole World Cup in general.
Over and they visit where people want to have the games, they visit the stadiums, and that's how they decide where it should be and if they have the right facilities and they have the right infrastructure.
The good news about the United States, Mexico, and Canada is we have the facilities already. Although FIFA requires there to be some modifications to them, we didn't have to build the facilities from scratch.
But hosting the World Cup is notoriously complicated.
Host cities want to host the World Cup because of the economic impact that they will get back. New York alone expects about $3.3 billion in economic impact. Dallas expects about $2.1 billion. LA around $1 billion. Expectations aren't always reality, and these economic impact numbers that FIFA and the cities come up with are typically inflated numbers. They end up fronting the bill, and FIFA really just takes all of the revenue from the games.
Looking at costs and revenues from 14 past World Cups, shown here in blue and orange, a clear pattern emerges. Nearly every host nation lost money. Russia was the only exception.
If you're a host city, you sign a...
You know, what's the worst part? If they're saying that Russia was the only exception, in terms of the World Cup, Russia was the one that was providing a lot, especially in terms of transportations. A lot of things were free for supporters. So Russia really catered to supporters. So a lot of things people didn't actually need to spend out of their pocket would actually benefited supporters. But from the graphs that we're seeing, a lot of the countries where the supporters needed to actually do everything themselves, the host countries ended up actually losing money. And it will be very curious to see, especially with the prices that people are actually paying in terms of the tickets and the visa prices, in terms of will the USA actually end up benefiting from this World Cup? Or maybe the large companies who they are running their ads will be the only ones who are benefiting, but the country as a whole doesn't end up benefiting except the corporations.
Contract with FIFA, and that host contract requires the city to take care of all of these needs. Security is one of them. Transportation is another one. Producing fan fests in the city is another major expense.
They grab a park in the city where they'll pull up some big screens, and in theory that's a place where fans can go free of charge, watch games, have a good time. But what we're already hearing is that some cities, under the financial constraints they have, are considering charging for the fan fests.
The US government agreed to hand out $625 million in federal funding to help with security measures across all 11 host cities in the US.
That's a good chunk of money, but it's not nearly enough to deal with the potential security problems. If you have that cost on one side and on the other side you have essentially zero revenues, then you have a net loss of that amount of money. Now, some of that money will be defrayed by local sponsorship deals, private donations, but the balance would be defrayed by the taxpayer.
And if the crowds do show up, this will also strain local transportation. And that's another area where municipalities are trying to make up the difference.
To get from New York to the stadium in New Jersey, a round-trip ticket is going to cost about $100. It's been reduced from $150 after backlash.
This is up from $13, a regular price for this ticket in a non-World Cup day.
Cities are somehow trying to claw back some of the investment.
I think in terms of this World Cup, I think the most disappointing part when we compare with the previous ones and the other one which was held in a developing country, which is South Africa 2010, is that we didn't see all of these things where we see the cities and the government busy complaining about the costs. Because the thing about the World Cup, if you build to want to have the World Cup held in your country, it means that you have to be aware of the costs that are gonna come in terms of your part. Going back to South Africa 2010, they had to build a lot of stadiums so that they can, the countries when they arrive, they can actually play and be able to have the top of the notch stadiums. So there was a lot of money that was spent there. So these are things that as a country you need to be aware, and I don't think it's fair that all this money has to come out from the people who are actually coming to enjoy the World Cup. I think it kind of ruins the experience or reduces the amount of experience in terms of the people, what the people were gonna have, because at least they were gonna have a bit more money to actually experience the culture and the food and the other things. Now, if you have to spend all the money, whether on transport or accommodation or just the ticket as a whole, you're not gonna be able to experience other things in terms of what that country has to offer.
That they've made in the tournament. And it remains to be seen whether they're gonna kind of squeeze the fan enough to get some of that money back and not have to pass anything on to taxpayers. FIFA's limiting parking spots so that they can have more infrastructure around the stadiums. And that means that the few spots that are left are going for premium prices.
For international fans, it's a whole other ballgame. Airline prices have soared, and politics is not helping. For this fan in Senegal, the red tape to get into the US has reinforced a perception that it's a hostile environment for visitors.
J'avais un rendez-vous tout à l'heure à l'ambassade des États-Unis pour déposer mon visa. Donc, après avoir fait toutes les formalités, payé en fait les frais y afférents, le visa m'a été refusé. C'est une déception, hein? C'est une forte déception pour moi parce que je ne pouvais pas m'imaginer que cette Coupe du Monde-là ne me trouvera pas en...
I think Senegal is the one country where it's mostly affected. I may be wrong, but I think I read something that their fans have actually been denied visa to actually come and watch the World Cup. So they're going to be playing without their fans. And this is something that's actually happening to one of the African countries. I think in terms of this thing of selective denying of the visa just because of the place where people come from, I think it's wrong, especially if you know that in terms of the World Cup, you're going to be hosting people from different backgrounds, from different countries. We're not saying that all the immigration laws, they have to be put aside, but there are people who are actually hardworking so that they can actually afford to go to the World Cup. But instead, that chance is actually being taken away because they're not even allowed to actually enter the host country, which is kind of sad to see.
Américaine, hein? Parce que moi, bon, je n'ai aucun intérêt à partir aux États-Unis, à fuir ou bien à rester là-bas. C'est inadmissible.
There are already groups of thousands of people who have signed petitions that say they've gone to all of the World Cup games in the last 20 years, but they're not going to the United States because they don't like the immigration policies that have been set by the Trump government.
No American president has ever had the chance.
Ironically, Trump himself professes to be a soccer fan. And Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, has made a point of cultivating this interest.
Infantino and President Trump have a very, very close relationship. Infantino has gone to the White House many times.
Infantino created a new FIFA Peace Prize, and he gave it to Donald Trump after Donald Trump complained about not getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
And who knows, maybe such flattery helped smooth the way for the Iranian team to participate in the Games.
Iran will be participating at the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Did Johnny say it?
He did. What did they
Johnny
win?
Infantino, that's a piece of work. You know what? Let him play well. Johnny's fantastic. You know, he's a friend of mine.
You know, for Trump, this is more publicity, right? He's going to be there in the stands. He's going to be seen as someone who's, you know, partly responsible for putting on this massive tournament, these 104 Super Bowls, as Infantino said.
The equivalent of 104 Super Bowls means turbocharged revenue, and for FIFA, that appears to be the point.
FIFA is going to earn over this 4-year cycle that the current World Cup will take place in something like $13 billion.
That's a 5-fold increase compared to the period ending with the 2006 World Cup in Germany.
You know, looking in terms of where this thing is going, where there's large prioritization in terms of the revenue made, in terms of the profit that's made for the World Cup. I think I don't want to know in terms of what's going to happen in terms of the next World Cup, especially in terms of the pricing. I think only the rich and the upper class people are only the ones who are going to be able to afford. And the World Cup is meant to be for everyone. And the true hardcore fans of football, they will be the ones who are left to pay, because now they won't be able to watch the beautiful game that they've grown up watching and wishing that they can actually be in the stadium and actually watching the football people that they've grown up watching on the television. So they're not gonna be able to have that experience, because now it's all about revenue and no one cares in terms of what the fans get as an overall.
Be fair, FIFA is a non-profit. It says the money left after operating costs gets reinvested into growing the sport around the world.
They divide it up amongst the world's national soccer organizations, and they spread it out so those organizations can exist and can develop youth soccer and adult soccer in their countries.
A huge chunk of their revenue, like with most sports, comes from broadcast rights, which are expected to generate about $3.9 billion this year. And the fact is, a lot of people will be watching the games on TV because of those dynamic ticket prices.
FIFA's also organized its own resale platform, and they're going to take commissions from both the buyer and the seller, and that's just going to add to the revenue.
Even FIFA's process of seat assignment is being questioned over concerns some who bought tickets aren't getting what they paid for. It's another yellow card for an organisation that is no stranger to money scandals. FIFA hasn't been totally tone-deaf to price concerns. Following a global backlash, they added a $60 ticket option for some of the World Cup team's most loyal fans. But these cheaper tickets will make up less than 2% of the total. So, attending the World Cup final may mean you have to inhabit a certain kind of world, namely...
It sounds like to be able to attend this World Cup, you're gonna need to sell your kidney, because clearly, like I said, no one cares about the fans. And I think there's a lot of controversies that we can actually cover in terms of this World Cup. But I think for now, I think we need to actually hold on in terms of that and actually see in terms of what's going to happen once the World Cup has ended. Maybe everything is going to start to flow smoothly, and maybe they're going to start to prioritize the fans, and maybe they're going to start to remove even the ads that we keep watching during these cooling breaks. And maybe in terms of the visa issues and all these other issues, maybe they can resolve that. We don't know. I think it's still in the early days. There's just a few matches that I've played so far. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of my review in terms of this FIFA World Cup. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. For one, I love football. I'm definitely going to be watching a lot of the fans, a lot of the matches, as long as they're not playing at night. If they're playing at night, I'm going to be sleeping. Yeah, I think I'll see you again on the same time, same place.